think about this for a minute. Just sit back in your car, sit back wherever you're listening to us, on the radio, on the app, wherever you're catching the show. Sit back for a minute and think about this. Would it really be a day in Philadelphia sports if we didn't have something to complain about? Right? So let's complain this hour. You and me for the next 60 minutes, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. We are live on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig. Let's lay it out. Eagles 2025 schedule. My biggest takeaways and reviews from the schedule. Plus, Aaron Nola implodes again. I have a solution that apparently nobody wants to talk about. Probably because it's probably the most insulting solution possible to Aaron Nola. Plus, Daryl Morey is still doing interviews. And I don't know why. But he's giving us content, and we're going to talk about it here on 97.3 ESPN. So let's first start with the Eagles. Because at the end of the day, the best team in the city is still the best team in the city, and that's the two-time Super Bowl champion in the last 8 years, Philadelphia Eagles. And I understand that there's a lot of people who are coming out and painting the schedule as, look how difficult this is. They got no back-to-back home games. I can't believe there's only, 6 1 o'clock games. I got to pull up the schedule again because I don't have it memorized yet. But I just want to remind you guys, this is the consequences of success. This is the side effect of greatness. You want to win championships. You want to be great. You want to be the man. Well, you know what? You got to accept the fact that sometimes things are not going to go your way. You got to accept the reality that sometimes life is going to give you some lemons. You got to make lemonade out of those lemons. And I have faith that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to make lemonade out of these lemons. Because while, yes, they are the first team in the Super Bowl era to win a championship and the next year have no back-to-back home games, that's fine. You know, the Eagles are a team that has one of the 5 most difficult schedules based on last year's final regular season records. That's fine. Eagles playing the Cowboys in week 1 for the first time since 2000. It's fine. We got to go back down to Tampa for it seems like the 50th straight year. That's not fine, but we'll manage. Because frankly, you could argue that losing in Tampa last year was the best thing that happened to this team. See, my bigger question is less about who they're playing, how the schedule lays out. My biggest question to take away from the schedule last night as it was fully released, why is nobody talking about the bye week? You know, that bye week last year, we talked mercilessly about how it came early in the year, right? But you could argue that bye week saved the Eagles season. They needed that bye week. They needed to recalibrate. Remember, that bye week last year is when Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson walked in Nick Sirianni's office and said, we got to run the ball more. That bye week is the reason why they got Cooper DeJean back when they did, and he had an extra week of practice with Vic Fangio. And remember, when Cooper DeJean came back, that's when the defense took off. When they started to run the ball, that's when the offense took off. You don't have a Super Bowl championship if not for that early bye week last year. To me, I am more curious to find out, how does a later bye week impact the team this year? Frankly, the fact that they play Dallas, Kansas City, the Rams, and the Bucs the first 4 weeks, we're going to debate that for the next 4 months. I want to know, how do we feel when our bye week is this much later than it was last year? Now, it could still benefit the Eagles because at the end of the day, you know, getting the bye week in the middle of the season, the players typically like that. They typically have said that that is something that they prefer. But let's be realistic. It's not ideal. Because look at when the bye week comes. It comes after your 3 easiest games of the season. Why, in any reality, would you want a bye week after your 3 easiest games of the season? That's the moment you want to keep going. That's the moment you want to carry that momentum forward. Why do I want to be... It's like in baseball, right? I never understood why managers do this. Hey, a guy's having a hot streak, and let's bench him for a day. Like, remember when Rob Thompson benched Johan Rojas a couple weeks ago? The guy's hitting well. Why'd you bench him? Was it because he made the error in the outfield? Oh, no, it wasn't that. Overall body soreness. Then you bring him in the game anyway and he runs into the wall and saves your game. Like, I never understood why people don't overlook. They overlook the fact that when you're going good, you don't want to stop. You don't want to take a day off. So to me, the bye week is absolutely fascinating because last year it was way early. We complained about it. It ended up paying off for the Eagles. Will the bye week pay off this year, Philadelphia, or could it stunt a hot streak? Because I'm telling you right now, as I look at the schedule, the first 8 weeks of this season, as I see it right now, I got the Eagles at 6-2 at the bye week. If you're 6-2 at the bye week, and some of your hardest games come after the bye week, that doesn't bode well for hitting that over 11.5 over-under that the Eagles have in most of the sports books. Because when you come back from the bye week at Green Bay, home against the Detroit Lions, at the Cowboys, short week, home against Chicago Bears. Then you get this extra long time off from the Bears game to playing on Monday night against the Chargers. Very oddly set up schedule. Are we really confident that if the Eagles were to start 6-2, that their next several games are going to go just as well? Green Bay is not going to be an easy game. You probably beat Detroit because it's in Philadelphia, and you get them out of the dome. I don't know what Dallas will be by the time Week 12 comes around. The good news is the Bears coming to your house. I'm assuming the Eagles beat the Chargers, but again, winning on the road is hard in any sport. Raiders, you should win that game. And then the last 3. At Washington, at Buffalo, home against Washington. Now, we don't know what Washington and Buffalo are going to be at that point of the year, or what Philadelphia will be. But on the surface, this is a daunting schedule. And some of your most difficult games are going to come after the bye week. Will the first 8 games propel you, or will the first 8 games hold you back? 609-403-0973, your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Dan from EHC chimes in on the text board. He says, Josh, you're right on. Season to season, you never know what's going to happen. Bye weeks and less Sunday games. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's not. We will see. And by the way, you go back 2 years ago when they lost to the Chiefs. They had, 3 1 p.m. games in 2023? You got more 1 o'clock games after winning a championship than you did when you lost the Super Bowl. How does that work? Seriously, how does that even happen? Sports, right? It's the only explanation I got. No, but seriously, it probably has a lot to do with schedules, availability. The Philadelphia Phillies, they have home games when the Eagles are on the road in September. So it's a direct correlation. And then in October, Mike Gill and I talked about this earlier on the Sports Bash today on 97.3 ESPN. We suspect that the reason why they're at the Giants and at the Vikings, those back-to-back weeks in October, is because the NFL is expecting the Phillies to make the postseason, and the Phillies might have some postseason games intermingled there. And, the World Series and the NLCS, they usually don't have, not usually, they never have afternoon games during those rounds. So the league championship and the World Series. So if you had a 1 o'clock Eagles game on October 26th, and then you have a baseball game at 7 or 8 o'clock, it's very doable. It's very doable logistically. But I think that's the part of the reason why some of the schedule lined up the way it did. And I will also say this. If you're Philadelphia, you started out last year with so many issues of inconsistency, guys not always in position, erratic play. You have a harder first 4 games on, at first look to start this year than you did last year. Because Kansas City week 2, home against the Rams at Tampa. I mean, I have them losing in Kansas City and Tampa as of right now. So for me, I'm curious to find out, if you lose these games, how does it impact new offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo? How does it impact a defense that's had some changes? ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter on the Adam Schefter podcast gave these quick takeaways about the Eagles' schedule for 2025.
They don't play 2 straight games at home all season long. So they're back and forth all year long. 2 of the last 3 against Washington. First time since 2000 that they played Dallas in the opener. It's not common for Philadelphia to open against Dallas. It's going to do it this year. And the Eagles' schedule, very difficult, very challenging. The defending Super Bowl champions will be tested.
ESPN's Adam Schefter there for the Adam Schefter podcast. Let's get back to the text board at 609-403-0973. How you guys feeling about the Eagles' schedule? Scott from Galloway has a very interesting question. This is a question I haven't heard asked very much, but he says, how many Eagles games do you think are going to be flexed this year? Scott, great question. I think that's a question we haven't asked enough, because remember, some of these times are not going to stay the same. So let's look at the games right now. I would say the first game that could potentially be flexed on the Eagles' current schedule, I'm looking very closely at Week 12. That's the game against the Cowboys. It's currently a 4:25 Fox game. Is there a scenario if the Cowboys are playing well that NBC tries to grab that game from Fox, or does Fox block it? That's the first game I look at. The second game I look at is, what if the Raiders are good this year? What if the Raiders come out the gates just guns ablaze, with Ashton Genty's having a historic year, right? The great running back who was drafted. He's very talented. He's very good. The Raiders, they got Chip Kelly now. What if Chip Kelly comes back to the NFL on the revenge tour, right? Geno Smith has thrown for 4,000 yards multiple times in his career. Pete Carroll, he's a hype man. He makes guys think they're better than they are all the time. It's like his go-to move. He only won 1 championship because it only worked so many times, right? But he's got a new team, a new organization. You got that Tom Brady with the the bling on his fingers in the owner's box, right? What if the Raiders come into that game? What's that, week 15? What if the Raiders are like 10-4, 9-5 at that point? And Fox says, you know what? Can we put that 1 o'clock game at 4:25? That's a game that could be moved for sure. The Raiders, if they're playing well. The TBD on Week 16 is fascinating because that is a Fox doubleheader. Fox owns both of those games. It's TBD right now. That is a road game. So if you're someone who's saying, hey, I might want to travel, maybe you have family down the Virginia, D.C. area, and you're like, let's go travel down to D.C., see my family for the holiday, watch the Eagles game. Right now, you don't know what time that game is, right? Well, what if the Eagles in Washington, Week 16, had the same record? And what if that game gets put in the prime time? What if Fox says, let's put that game at 7:30? Right? 8 o'clock maybe. Hey, Fox has the rights to both games. They can make the time whatever they want. The final game I could see maybe something happening is that Bills game, Week 17. What if the Eagles and the Bills have two of the best records in football? There are people who say the Bills have the easiest record in the NFL, the easiest schedule this upcoming season. What if it's Week 17? I'm just throwing out numbers, okay? I'm not saying this is literally what's going to happen, but after 16 weeks, let's say the Eagles won an overtime game against Washington the week before, right? And they're flying high, and there's all kinds of good vibes, and they're heading into Christmas. The Eagles have a 11 and weeks through 16 weeks. It's 11-5. They have an 11-5 record, and Buffalo has 11-5 record. That currently is a Fox game for the Buffalo Bills. Does NBC come in and swoop in and say, hey, you blocked us from getting the Cowboys game in November, so now we're going to take the Bills game. So then it's Buffalo, Eagles, snowing, December 28th, 8:25. I think those are the main games I'm looking at that could be flexed. Week 17 against the Bills. We don't know what the time is going to be for Washington. Raiders, Week 15 is always a possibility. And then that Cowboys game, November 23rd. Because the problem is all the other games that might be in consideration, they're already in prime time. The Packers are Monday Night Football. The Lions are already on Sunday Night Football. The Chargers are Monday Night Football. You can't flex them. They're already in prime time. So, to me, Scott and Galloway, it's a great question, and I think those are the two games that this could happen. All right, coming up on the other side, Rico in Millville, Jeff in Ocean City. I read Danny Ishii. Jeff in Ocean City. Your text and more, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And as always, we are live on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig.
Hey, South Jersey, this is Billy Schwein. Tune into The Locker Room every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Each weekend in The Locker Room, you will get passionate sports talk from a fan's perspective, along with interviews with some of the biggest names in sports. That's every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon in The Locker Room with me, Billy Schwein, on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, because nothing could be finer than talking sports with a Schweiner.
Welcome to Staples.
Hi, I hear Staples prints it all.
Oh, you bet. Posters, banners.
Can you print it all for Father's Day?
Oh, of course. Photo gifts like canvas prints, photo puzzles.
Can you print it all for graduation?
Sure can. Custom cards and invites.
Can you print a huge banner with the grad's picture?
Oh, definitely.
Even an embarrassing baby picture?
Oh, those are the best kind.
I know, right?
Print it all for dads and grads at Staples. And right now, get 40% off custom cards, invites, and photo gifts. N75 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Progressive knows you've got enough to worry about in life.
Hi, it's your life again. Feel like another year is just slipping away? Yeah, remember all those New Year's resolutions you made? You still haven't finished the first book. Just 19 more to go. I mean, if we're being honest, it wasn't a very realistic goal. Have you ever considered that you intentionally self-sabotage? So what's that about?
So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
The best day for great deals on everything for summer is one day, as in the Macy's One Day Sale. Find the best prices of the month on summer essentials, from men's tees from Champion and more for $12.99 to $500 off diamond studs, now just $199.99. Even 5-piece luggage sets for your next getaway, now $69.99, less than a cab to the airport. And you can earn rewards faster during Star Money bonus days. It's a day unlike any other. The Macy's One Day Sale tomorrow. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This Memorial Day, turn up the heat with the Home Depot. Find the perfect grill and patio set to keep the cookouts coming all season long. Grill up a feast with the Next Grill 4-burner gas grill, only $229. And complete your space with the stylish Glen Ridge Falls 7-piece dining set, now on special buy for just $499 with free delivery. Take your Memorial Day cookout to the next level all summer long with the Home Depot. See homedepot.com/delivery for more details.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or in third-party delivery platforms.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. The Eagles opening up the 2025 season on Thursday night, September 4th against the Dallas Cowboys. The Eagles will play Kansas City in a Super Bowl rematch in week number 2. They have 2 Monday night games on the schedule, week 10 against Green Bay and week 14 against the Chargers, and they'll also play on the day after Thanksgiving against the Chicago Bears. The Flyers hiring Rick Tocchet to be their new head coach. Philadelphia had fired John Tortorella back in March, played the rest of the season under interim coach Brad Shaw. Tocchet played 11 seasons for the Flyers, is in the team's Hall of Fame, and his deal reportedly makes him one of the highest paid coaches in the NHL. The Phillies off today. They're back in action Friday, beginning a 3-game series against Pittsburgh. Ranger Suarez, a scheduled starter for the Phillies against Andrew Heaney. Philadelphia split a doubleheader Wednesday against the St. Louis Cardinals. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
Not another one.
26-year-old male, wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
How's the driver in the other vehicle?
Yeah, thankfully she's okay. She had her seatbelt on.
It's really sad. You know, these tragedies are entirely preventable.
It said click it or ticket, but for some, they should be so lucky. Besides getting a ticket or a fine, the consequences could take your life. So don't risk it. Click it or ticket. This message is brought to you by NHTSA.
Good afternoon with your South Jersey weather forecast. I'm Joe Kelly. Just a slight chance of a little shower here or there this evening. Otherwise, partly to mostly cloudy tonight, a low 60. Tomorrow, watch out for scattered thunderstorms. Those are possible. High temperature about 78. And the outlook for the weekend, how about this? Saturday, it's going to be hot. Mixture of clouds and sunshine with a high of 86. Sunday, mostly sunny and 76. Again, for tonight, partly to mostly cloudy with a low temperature of 60. That's your South Jersey weather. I'm Joe Kelly.
Hello, I am Scott, branch manager with Viking Pest. For over 40 years, Viking has been your shield against pests. Now we're leading the charge with Viking Green, our eco-friendly, low-impact pest control solution. Protect your home with Viking. Visit VikingPest.com to learn more.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Check back on the text board at 609-403-0973. We've been talking about the Eagles' 2025 schedule. I got some thoughts on Aaron Nola as well. I'm going to tell you what the solution for Aaron Nola is, and it's apparently a very unpopular opinion because nobody else wants to mention it. Also, Daryl Morey's doing more interviews and giving us more content. And we're going to talk about it here on 97.3 ESPN. But let's first back to the text board, 609-403-0973. Rico in Millville chimes in. He says the Bills' schedule is so weak, but I got the Eagles going 12-5 years. So that Bills game might not mean anything for the Bills by then. That's a very interesting point, Rico, because if Buffalo just runs away with the AFC East, like, you know, Mike Gill was saying that the AFC East is probably the weakest division in the NFL this year. I don't know if I could go with Mike Gill on that. I tend to think that the AFC South is worse than the AFC East myself, but still, I do agree that Buffalo, they are light years ahead of the Patriots. They're light years ahead of the Jets. And the Dolphins are like playing roulette. Like, is Tyreek Hill going to implode that team? Is Tua going to stay healthy? There's all kinds of variables going into that. So Buffalo's probably going to win that division and have it locked up by early to mid-December. And if you have a division locked up by early to mid-December, when you get to week 17, what do you have to play for? So it's a good point by Rico. I think that's a very interesting thing to look at. Now, he said that they have a very easy schedule, this Buffalo, right? I'll get to your 12-5 with the Eagles in just a minute. Let's see what Buffalo's schedule is, because I have not like broken down like everyone's schedules yet, okay? I'm just being honest. Let's see what Buffalo's schedule is. What are we looking at here? By the way, can we get to a point where everyone stops asking me to accept cookies? Like at some point, I'm getting tired that we're in 2025 and I have to accept cookies for every website. There should be a setting in the browser, whatever you use, Chrome, Firefox, DuckDuckGo, Brave, whatever browser you use. There should be a setting in there in all the browsers where I can just click and say, every website I go to, accept. Every website I go to, I want modified. Every website I want to deny cookies. Like there should be a universal setting. Like there used to be a universal setting in Windows, and they got rid of it years ago. And only those of you who are tech savvy and who are over the age of 30 will remember this. Windows used to have this amazing setting where if you wanted all of your browsing windows to have a certain structure, right? Whether it's like, like with the tabs on the top of the list of a folder, you could set every folder's display setting to all be uniform. It was one of the greatest settings of all time. It made my life so much easier. I could organize everything like bang, bang, bang. Now they got rid of that. Can't even find the setting in Windows anymore. They got rid of it. And now every time I open a folder, I got to rechange the display settings because I can't find what I'm looking for. It's horrible. Whoever came up with that, you're at Windows, you're a jerk. So there should be a universal setting, as I was saying, in all browsers, where when you first start your computer, or you first log in with your Google account, or whatever the moment is, it should say customize settings. Click on customize settings. How do you want your cookies, cache, history to be handled? And it should just be a default across the board. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about it. It just does it for me. In 2025, technology should just work for us, not against us. Let's get it back to the Buffalo Bills. I mean the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean football. So the Bills got the Ravens. It's going to be a tough game. But then they follow up with the Jets. The Dolphins are at home. Interesting. Saints, Patriots, Falcons. Then their bye week. Then they got Carolina. Kansas City's in Buffalo. That's interesting. At the Dolphins, but it's only November, so it's not crazy heat. So that's a positive for them. They got Tampa coming to them in Buffalo. That's interesting. At Houston, at Pittsburgh, home against the Bengals, at the Patriots, at the Browns, then home against the Eagles. I got to be honest with you guys. They're probably going to win their division running away, but by the time they play Philadelphia, they may only have 9 or 10 wins. So the division's got to be really that bad, or that's going to be interesting to watch. Also, are the Patriots going to surprise people? All right, good stuff there from Rico. You got the Eagles going 12-5. The over-under right now is 11.5, and I am honestly leaning that the Eagles are going to go 11-6 because I have them starting the year right now 6-2. I think that Green Bay game is going to be a coin flip. I think they beat Detroit. I think they beat Dallas. they might lose that Chargers game. They really might, because it's on the road. Jim Harbaugh is a really good coach. They'll probably lose the first Commanders game. And so by the time they get to Buffalo, after 16 weeks, I think they're probably 11-5. So if they're going to go 12-5, Rico and Millville, they're going to need to at least beat Buffalo or Washington down the stretch. Jeff from Ocean City chimes in at 609-403-0973. He says, the Eagles do have a tough schedule, and I believe Washington wins the division. The Eagles will grab the wild card because no team has won back-to-back divisions since the mid-2004-2005. You are right about that. It'll probably be an easier schedule in 2026, and they'll win the division next year. That's from Jeff in Ocean City. He says, P.S. You sound like Billy Schwein complaining about your browser issues. Get off my lawn. Listen, man, I don't understand why we make anything in today's world with all the technological advances we have. Why do we make things more difficult? Why do we make anything more difficult? Everything should just be simpler. Everything should be straightforward. Everything should be, don't overcomplicate things, folks. I don't know why technology should be overcomplicated. It just doesn't. It's like the Avril Lavigne song. Why gotta make things so complicated? But back to the thing with the Eagles. You know, what's interesting, Jeff, in Ocean City, is you mentioned about, the fact that the Eagles are probably going to win the division. Washington will. My only problem with Washington is, this is a point that I brought up to Mike Gill a couple weeks ago here on 97.3 ESPN on the Sports Bash, and that is Washington only had one win against a playoff team during the regular season last year. And while they went on a run in the postseason, styles make fights. They played two teams that stylistically they had the perfect matchup for. So when they beat Tampa and they beat Detroit, they beat two teams that were primed for them to beat. They were primed for them to take advantage of and take out. So for me, I look at Washington and I'm just wondering, does Jaden Daniels have a sophomore slump? Does their defense keep playing at a high level, or do they regress? Do the young guys step up on defense? Do they evolve? Do they grow? But if Washington wins the division, what you're saying is that Washington needs to have a certain level of success. And remember, the entire NFC East all has to play the NFC North and the AFC West. So it's not like Washington's going to have that much easier of a schedule. Look, the second week of the year, Washington has to go to Green Bay. They got to go at Atlanta in week 4. You could argue that Philadelphia might be 2-2 at the end of September, and so could Washington. Washington has a more difficult October than Philadelphia. At the Chargers, home against the Bears, at the Cowboys, at the Chiefs. By the time Philadelphia goes their bye week, Washington could have a losing record. Now, I'm not saying they will, but they certainly could. Washington's schedule lightens up a little bit in November. Seattle, Miami, Denver, all home games. That's a big thumbs up for them. So I'm not sold yet on the idea that Washington's going to win the division, Jeff, in Ocean City. I still think that Philadelphia, I think, is going to win the division. I think Washington will be a wild card, and that'll be it. Uh, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Steve from Ventnor says, remember when you could turn on the TV and press the channel you wanted and go, and bam, there it was. Now it seems like there's 9 different remote settings and 5 different things you got to go through before you get to the program that you want. If you try to catch a replay of something I hear on the radio, I literally got to run into the living room, turn the TV on. By the time I try to catch the replay on TV, it's already 2 batters later. Well, that's why you got DVR stuff, Steve. Like I would, so during football season, I DVR every Eagles game so I can rewatch it. So that way, if I'm out watching the game, like I am many times because I work a lot of Eagles Sundays throughout the season, for me, I can just turn around and be like, hey, if I miss something, I got to see something again, I'll just catch it when I get home. Now, with the Phillies, I will admit I am very, very, very blessed that I have MLB TV. I don't pay for it. It's through my cell phone provider. So my cell phone provider gives me free MLB TV, so I can watch the replay of every Phillies game whenever I want. So I don't really have the same frustration you do, but I get it. I totally get it, because you used to be able to just record games or watch games in real time and hit the One of the best functions used to be, if you had Xfinity, you could hit the rewind button while watching a game, and it was no big deal. Now, nobody wants to have Xfinity because it's cost so much money. You feel like you're selling your soul for television, and it's just not worth it. We are at a point where it'll cost you less to have your internet through Xfinity, okay, plus YouTube TV, plus ESPN Plus, and I'm just trying to think of one other platform that's not crazily expensive, and Amazon Prime. You could have those three or swap out Amazon Prime with Peacock, whatever you want to do, and you're still spending less than Xfinity Internet plus cable. It's absolutely insane. Now, I would have said it's more than that, but YouTube TV increased their cost. I will say, though, the Peacock streaming deal that they offer, the streaming deal for Peacock where you get all of the NBC Sports Philadelphia channels plus the regular Peacock bundle for $30 is actually a very attractive deal. And so if you're someone who doesn't want to do, like if you're someone who only watches Phillies, Sixers, Flyers, and you don't really care about the other sports as much, if you're just a diehard 4 for 4, that Peacock subscription is not a bad deal. Because instead of paying for Xfinity television, you're paying about $30, $33 a month for everything that's on NBC Sports Philadelphia, everything that is NBC, Xfinity, Comcast, Universal stuff, and you get the 3 of the 4 teams. So then you just got to make a decision, what are you going to do about the Eagles? And if you're someone who doesn't mind going out to watch a game, you can literally just plan your entire Eagles season around going out to your favorite establishment and watching the game and not paying for Xfinity or YouTube TV. You literally could do that. And if you're somebody who does a lot of Amazon ordering, let's say you have Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime is what? So it's around $15 a month. So 15 plus 33, that's, I'm doing math on the fly on the radio, probably not the smartest deal by me, but I'm trying over here. So about $48. So if you add that to what is probably going to be the fastest level of Xfinity internet, if you're someone who lives in an area where you don't have the option to like a Verizon or a T-Mobile, which I don't even know all the areas that are available. I know they're not available where I live, but if you add the Xfinity cost for the internet, plus the Peacock package, plus Amazon Prime, and let's say you get the Disney bundle for Hulu, ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, I mean, you're spending $40 less a month than you would for Xfinity internet and TV. It's crazy, right? Speaking of NBC Sports Philadelphia, before we hit the break, I got to get my Aaron Nola thought in. So at Josh Hennig on Twitter, I made a comment last night because Nick Earnshaw from Nick's Nuggets here on 97.3 ESPN. You hear him every day on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill. He's produced for Billy Schwab in the locker room on the weekends here on 97.3 ESPN. He put out a tweet last night talking about Aaron Nola, how frustrating it was, how bad he's doing. And I made a comment on Twitter last night, and it didn't get any reaction, which tells me that either it's too logical for people or people think I'm just being mean and they ignored me, which is there is one solution to the Aaron Nola problem. To me, the only solution that fixes Nola, and you got to do it soon. You cannot wait on this. You cannot be the team that drags your feet on this. I think that you got to put Aaron Nola on the injured list with some phantom injury. I'm dead serious. Hear me out for a second. He had a stiff neck issue a couple weeks ago, and he was able to get the neck loose enough that he could pitch, and he actually had a good start that night against the Cubs. But overall, I think that you can go back to that well and be like, he already has a stiff neck issue. Let's put him on the injured list with a neck. And then, set the date where it's retroactive, like as close to his next start as possible. And then just put Taijuan Walker back in the rotation. Let Nola go on a couple rehab assignments. Let him find himself again. Just go to Nola and explain the situation. Be like, dude, we love you. You are a part of what we need to win games moving forward. But we got to do what's best for this team. We cannot have you starting in Colorado your next start. Just go to him and be like, look, we're going to put you on the injured list. You're going to go and do a couple rehab starts. Go to AA. Go to AAA. Find yourself again. Reevaluate your mechanics. Go pitch with Stubbs at AAA, right? Go figure it out. And along the way, here's what you do. Find out what Mick Abel's got. Call him up. Let's see what happens. Give Walker a start. Give Mick Abel a start. You can cover Nola's next two starts. Get through the end of May and tell Nola, get your mechanics worked out, get your pitch sequencing down, refine your pitches. We'll put you on the injury list with some phantom injury. We'll say the neck issue cropped up again. Come back in June. Because right now, I don't need Aaron Nola in the month of May. I can survive May without Aaron Nola. I need Nola for the dog days, June through August. I need Nola going out there and giving me 6-7 innings and no more than 3 runs a start. To me, the answer is send this guy down to the minor leagues with an injury, a quote-unquote injury. He already had neck stiffness earlier this year. Say he's got a neck issue. Give him a couple rehab starts. Let him go down to AA and AAA. Let him find himself again. That way when he comes back in June, he's ready to go again. He's ready to ramp it back up. If Aaron Nola cares about winning, he will do it. I'm telling you right now. It is the solution to the Aaron Nola problem. Because right now, Aaron Nola looks like he does not belong in a major league starting rotation with the way he is getting knocked around, especially the last 2 starts. All right, coming up on the other side, we'll get more of your texts at 609-403-0973, your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. We are live as always on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig. Also on the other side, Daryl Morey does another interview. What did he say this time? Find out next on 97.3 ESPN.
The NBA playoffs continue on ESPN Radio. The Celtics survive.
Brown for 3 up top. Ooh, got it.
With a Knicks up 3 games to 2, the series returns to New York City. Can the Celtics survive once again?
Friday night, New York City. In an elimination game, the Knicks have not closed out a series at home since 1999.
Game 6 of the Celtics and Knicks. Coverage begins tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern. With tip-off at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Listen to the NBA playoffs exclusively on 97.3 ESPN.
It's time to make your yard the best on the block with Memorial Day savings at the Home Depot. Start by keeping the weeds at bay with Earth Grow Mulch, now 4 for $10. Then keep your garden thriving with Miracle Grow Garden Soil. Now on special buy, 4 for $10. Give your neighbors yard envy all summer long with Memorial Day savings going on now at the Home Depot.
Memorial Day weekend is around the corner, and Total Wine & More is here for all the summer fun ahead. Firing up the grill with a refreshing seltzer or ice-cold beer, cranking up those tunes while mixing up your favorite cocktails, Total Wine has everything you need to keep the good times going this Memorial Day weekend. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/radio, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro. Post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
This Memorial Day, turn up the heat with the Home Depot. Find the perfect grill and patio set to keep the cookouts coming all season long. Grill up a feast with the Next Grill 4-burner gas grill, only $229. And complete your space with the stylish Glen Ridge Falls 7-piece dining set, now on special buy for just $499 with free delivery. Take your Memorial Day cookout to the next level all summer long with the Home Depot. See homedepot.com/delivery for more details.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City. A community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
I do know that based on where things are at now, that,
all of our players will be available to start the season. Obviously a lot of info will come as Joel goes through what his rehab and gets himself ready for next year. But right now, based on the information that we have, we feel good about all our players being available there from game one.
That was Daryl Morey on the Takeoff with John Clark podcast, the latest in the 76ers media tour. Of course, earlier this week, you heard Nick Nurse, Sixers head coach, on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig back with you, hanging in the Ocean Casino Resort studios of Atlantic City. You heard Daryl Morey say he expects everyone to be ready to go to start next year. And I find that comment fascinating for one specific reason. This organization, in spite of all of the angst and all of the to be determined nature of Joel Embiid's health last year, they seem to think that whatever procedure just happened was a good procedure. And I thought Daryl Morey did a much better job in this interview, this podcast, trying to explain some of the more finer points that we need to talk about the Sixers, which includes, why did it take so long for the Sixers to get Embiid the procedure? Like, what was the procedure? What is going on with this? And Daryl Morey explained.
The surgery was a scope. Confidence comes from the doctor who did it and feels very good about the outlook. It's the same doctor who worked with Kawhi. Again, you could go back a year and you say Kawhi's pulling out of USAB. Everyone's saying, like, oh my goodness, what's with Kawhi? Was Kawhi ever going to be who he is? And then he's playing 45 plus minutes in the playoffs over and over for the Clippers. So my point is, like, we feel very good because of the feedback we're getting from the doctor and the work that Joel's putting in.
Again, a very interesting answer by him. He points to it was just a scope, so he confirmed that officially. The Sixers have been kind of vague about what the surgery was for a while there. He also goes on to say, look, he has the same doctors that Kawhi did. And you saw Kawhi came back this year and had a very good regular season and an even better postseason. So if we're just going based off of who Kawhi's doctor is, we know that that guy got him back. So the Sixers think that's a good sign that they think Embiid, who they feel is progressing well, will be back. But goes on, Daryl Morey, why did it take so long to get this surgery done?
Talking to, I believe, somewhere between 9 and 12 doctors, just to make sure we get every I dotted and every T crossed, choose the right doctor to do the surgery, choose the right approach. So that was what took the time.
9 to 12 doctors? That kind of gives you an idea of how little they understood what was going on with Joel Embiid's name. And it's probably part of the reason why Joel, according to the Shams Charania report from months ago from ESPN.com, when Shams reported that Joel had been pushing to get surgery for weeks, and the Sixers have been apprehensive because Sixers saying, hey, we're talking to these doctors. They say maybe you don't need surgery. And Joel's like, dude, we don't have an answer of what's wrong with my knee. Can we just get it fixed up so I can be back for next year? I think that's what the real problem was. I think the problem was there was disconnect from the Sixers and Joel. And it sounds like moving forward that disconnect has been resolved. But I hope that that disconnect is not the reason why this team has more problems next season. But Daryl Morey does believe the 76ers will be a better team next year. Here's why. This is from the Takeoff with John Clark podcast, speaking with Sixers President of Basketball Operations, Daryl Morey.
We think our roster is better going into next season. Obviously, the 3-pick helps that, and all the development that Coach Nurse did with Edwards, Bona, and McCain, and the trade for Grimes, and where's he? So we like our roster better going into next season. I don't think we'll be regarded that highly in Vegas just because we had a very tough year. And I think until people see us healthy and playing, they're not going to believe in the team, and I understand that.
Very interesting insight there from Daryl Morey. He's kind of taken the 76ers into an Eagles type of perspective, which is we're going to draft and develop young guys, and we're going to depend on those young guys to step up. that we still have our core of star players, Embiid, Paul George, and Maxey. And that Daryl Morey, feels like that should be enough. And I do think it's interesting because he brings up Paul George. And, Paul George told the Pivot podcast that he is looking forward to being a 76er next season.
100%, man. The pressure is real in Philadelphia, but it's the good pressure. And it's like I look forward to playing in Philadelphia.
Listen, if this is all not just words, if this is not all just people saying what we want to hear, then maybe the Sixers will be good again next year. Some very interesting insights from 76ers President Basketball Operations, Daryl Morey, on the Takeoff with John Clark podcast. Before we get out of here, Dan in EHT says I would put Aaron Nola on a short leash and have Walker on standby for a while. The problem with Nola is look at the game last night. He got smashed in the third and fourth inning. So what are we saying? That he can only pitch 2 innings? If he gets trouble in the third, we'll bring in Taijuan Walker or Joe Ross? I don't like that strategy. Aaron Nola is getting paid the money he is to pitch 6 to 7 innings a night. He's not being paid to be put on a short leash. That's why I say let the guy go find himself again. All right, thanks everybody for listening. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. I'll get you tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN.
The NBA playoffs continue on ESPN Radio. The Thunder win their second straight.
Gilgeous Alexander open 3. Bang, he got it. And the Thunder have taken the lead.
Oklahoma City pushed the Nuggets to the brink of elimination. Can Denver survive and force a Game 7?
Jokic up top for 3. Good, he got it.
Game 6 of the Thunder and Nuggets. Coverage begins tonight at 8 Eastern with tip-off at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Listen to the NBA playoffs exclusively on 97.3 ESPN.
Memorial Day savings are here at the Home Depot. So take your kitchen